Hello, everyone. It's Mike Andes. I hope you're doing amazing on this beautiful Friday evening. Today, we are doing the call-in show. Try to do these at least once a month. If you have a question and would like to ask anything, about business, personal life, whatever you want to talk about, today we're going to take some calls. The number here is 361-733-3332. Give me a call. I am going to prioritize those in the call queue. And as always, at the end of the call, we almost always have to let people off of the queue and block it. So if you have a question, call in now because I don't have a lot of time and the call queue always fills up and I have to drop everyone. So if you have a question, give me a call. 361-733-3332, and we're going to answer those questions live. Now, we are headed into the spring rush. It is a matter of days, maybe weeks, before the vast majority of home service business owners will be in the throes of the busiest time of the year. And so I want to answer any questions you might have that I could potentially help you with. While we're waiting, we're not waiting anymore. We have the first caller, very quick on the draw, coming in from 865. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on and being first.
Hey, Mike, how are you today?
Good. How you doing?
Good. So my main question tonight is the fact that trying to figure out the whole website issue,
Mhm.
and I'd like to go with your guys' services. I'm just trying to figure out when is a good time to begin with the website.
And so right now, what's your total annual revenue? Like, what's your projected revenue for this year?
Projected right now, if I don't pick up any clients in spring, would probably be somewhere around 90,000, but I'm hoping to do 350.
Okay. So really it just comes down to your confidence level. And that's like a huge range, right? That's like a 4x difference. So really it's the matter, like I don't recommend using lawn care web design or home service web design for anyone that's doing less than 200,000 annually, because then the math just doesn't make sense. And so you could, if you're going to be doing closer to 90,000, I would say go get Weebly, Squarespace, use WordPress and build a site your own. If you start putting numbers up of like $40,000-$50,000 a month, it'd make a lot of sense to go get a professionally designed website that's going to be faster on like the load time, mobile responsive, etc. But outside of just knowing which service to use, is there a specific question about the website you have?
No, like I'm just trying to figure out as a capital standpoint if it makes sense, as in leads and stuff like that. Because I know spring rush is coming, and not lying to you, I had zero work until uh, Thursday this week, and then I had 10 estimates to do from Thursday to Friday. Just completed, or not Thursday, sorry, Wednesday. Just completed 2 jobs the past 2 days that were big money items,
Hit
and
spring rush,
I'd
baby.
like to
Let's
invest.
go.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, and I'm really looking to invest the money into a website, and I'd like to go with your guys' services just because I feel like I'd have a better return on the money, as in just a basic website to go ahead and start getting some organic leads.
Yeah. Yeah. It really just comes down to what your spend is for marketing, right? Like if someone was coming to me and saying, hey, I'm trying to do over 200,000 in annual revenue this year, I'd be telling them invest in a website. It's the number one place for all. You want to be driving all of your web traffic there, all of your leads there. Like if you're doing Facebook ads and you're doing YouTube ads, or you're doing door hangers and you're doing flyers, guess what they're going to do the first thing? They're going to go look you up online. So if you want to have a higher perceived value and be able to charge a higher price to customers, make sure your website looks great. It's like the storefront of your business. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars making sure their storefront looks good in retail. For us as home service business owners, our storefront is our website, and you drive all traffic through that. And as we get more and more digital over the past few years, it's only increased. People are looking you up first online. And so if you're not ranking well on Google, if you don't have Google reviews, if you're not showing up on the first page, you're just non-existent. And so the players that are spending money on their organic traffic coming to their website from ranking well on Google, they get leads for free. Ultimately, if you're just getting started, you're going to be paying for every single lead that comes in through the door. because they don't know who you are. You have no brand awareness. People aren't calling you, they're not seeing your trucks, they're not getting referrals. There's not enough traffic. So what do? You pay for every single lead. You pay for every single click. The goal is that you get to the point where you're able to upsell existing customers and get referrals and traffic from Google for free. So eventually you don't have to be spending money on marketing. And that's when you become profitable. That typically takes 3 to 5 years at least to actually get that kind of brand penetration and brand awareness. But it's a whole lot easier if you have a great website, because you'll be getting leads for free from Google from simply just ranking well. And so I have a whole bunch of videos about websites and how to optimize them more. And like, whether it be the pictures or the brand side of things or the SEO, search engine optimization, there's like tons of videos. And so whether or not you use lawn care web design or home service web design, I don't really care. Just have a website. Then if you have plenty of money in terms of marketing, like if you're going to have a marketing spend of over $5,000, spend money on the website. Like it's just an easy no-brainer, because it's going to forever bring you in more leads. The problem with spending money on an ad today for like a door hanger or for a Facebook ad or a YouTube ad or Google ad is it's gone tomorrow once it's been used. Once someone's clicked, it's done. I don't ever get like any sort of residual benefit from that click. Whereas when it comes to a website, once I've spent that money on that website, I get to be able to get leads every month. It's like recurring, and it grows and it compounds. And so the biggest thing too is, even if you don't look at it from a lead acquisition perspective, you look at it as just simply a value proposition to the customer. That is a customer willing to spend an extra $10 per hour on your labor if you have a good looking website. I can guarantee you the answer to that is yes. You're like, oh, there's no way. I guarantee if you're charging $75 an hour right now, and you made a great looking website, had great reviews and highlighted all your services and had your crew and your trucks and showed your brand really, really well compared to not having a website, I guarantee you'd be able to charge that extra $10 per hour. The question is, are you doing enough in revenue? Do you have enough billable hours to actually make that $10 per hour difference enough to spend money on a larger, nicer looking website? That's the question. And so if you're smaller, that's why I say just go build something and focus on your Google listing. Like your Google listing, if you're doing under $200,000, is the money pit. Like that is where you want to spend all of your time on. It doesn't cost you any money, and you're going to get reviews and put pictures up and optimize it, make sure all your services are dialed in. After you've done that and you have 30, 40, 50 reviews, then go spend money on a website. All right, I apologize. The call queue is full. Next caller is coming in from 757. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. So I just had two quick questions. One, the first being, when do you recommend I do like everyday direct mail marketing campaigns? Because like I have a limited amount of money, and I don't want to like blow through it all, extremely quick. But I also don't want to wait too long and get not very good results. So what do you recommend?
What service are you going to be highlighting in the Everyday Direct Mail?
Well, it's multiple. It's mowing, hedge trimming, like mulch installs, but I guess I'm more focused on mowing, but that's not really like the highlighted thing. It's just like I have bullet points of like 4 different services.
Okay. So first off, I would try to reconsider that. Have you already got the like door hangers, like, or the Everyday, like, have you already printed everything off?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so let's not talk about that. I was going to talk more about the fact that like going more targeted and like highlighting an offer is probably going to be better than just a generic, like, here's all the services we offer. However, we've crossed that bridge already. So now the question is, when do we put them out? And so, so let's just say, instead of me, do you mind telling me how much money you're going to spend on marketing this spring rush?
Yeah. So, I don't really have a very specific number, as of now, but probably around like 2,000.
Okay. So in my opinion, $2,000 is not going to be best spent on Everyday Direct Mail, because you're probably going to be able to print and distribute somewhere in the neighborhood of like 7 to 10,000 pieces of mail by the time you do Everyday Direct Mail. I think you're going to have a better shot of spending that $2,000 doing, individual doors, like door knocking and door hangers, and then Google ads and Google local services. Because if you spend $5 to $10 per day on Google ads, you'll probably get a lead or two a day, just depending, like it's very, very broad. You might get a lead or two a day depending on how, how the let's just call it a week even. I think that's going to do better than your every door direct mail. The problem I have with every door direct mail is a one shot thing, and you don't have enough money to test this a bunch. Like you don't have the money to test like 2 weeks before the spring rush, when spring rush starts, 2 weeks after. Like if you're going to do one shot with every door direct mail, you want to be in like the middle of spring rush, because you don't have the money to be like, okay, I'm going to warm people up, I'm going to hit them 5 or 6 times. You just don't have the money for it. So I would say I'd be going after something that takes more of your time and less of your money, which is going to come in the form of probably more one-on-one, like door hangers or knocking on doors, where it's going to be like boots on the ground. Because I'm going to assume you don't have a massive crew and you don't have tons of work. So if you don't, you have more time than you do money. So just do the things that take more time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so you recommend doing it like mid to late April, probably?
If you're going to do it, yes, I would, because you need to be like the middle of spring rush. If you're going to do like kind of a one shot, let's hope everything works, bet everything on that. Or maybe even one or like, split up and do 2 or 3 mailings. You want to be in the middle of spring rush. That's where you get the best bang for your buck. If you had more money, like if you would have said, hey, I have 10 grand, then I would have said, okay, let's do a couple, like a little premature, but we're warming up that audience. But if I was you, I would do door knocking, and I would use that postcard or flyer, whatever you've printed off, as basically the literature to give to a customer when you knock on their door. And I think you would go a lot further in terms of number of leads, distributing 5 to 10,000 pieces of mail, door knocking, and giving it to the customer than you would if you just mailed them all out, crossed your fingers, and hoped that that day that they was delivered, the weather was good, the grass was growing, and people were thinking about the service. But does that help a little? Go to your second question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the second question, I'm not 100% sure if I'm at this point, just from based off of your other answer. But so my dad has helped me with taxes, like last year, and then the year prior. This is really only my 3rd year in business, and I did about 40,000, 45,000 in revenue last year.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad was like, I'm getting to the point where I might need to hire some like accountant or something like that, because I'm getting to the point where he can't really keep track of it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering what your recommendation would be on like what to do with that, like an accountant. Like, how do I go about hiring someone, or like do you even recommend that, or should I just figure out myself? Like, I really don't even know.
Yeah, so like I'm not going to recommend using Home Service CPA. That's my firm. Don't recommend it at 40,000 a year in revenue, because you're going to spend $1,000 getting your tax return done, and you did 40,000. Like literally 2-3% of your revenue is going out getting your tax return done. Don't do that. Just do TurboTax. You're smart enough. You're small enough to be able to get this really, really simply as a Schedule C on your personal tax return. Right? Are you doing your tax return, or are you doing your tax? Are you running the revenue through your dad's tax return?
It's me.
Okay, so if you're doing your own, then yeah, just do it through TurboTax. You're small enough business. It's not going to be a lot, and you don't have a complicated business structure that's going to need a CPA. So I just do TurboTax, and like literally, Brad, he's the CPA at Home Service CPA that I work with. He worked at TurboTax, and he would probably tell you the same thing. At 40,000 in annual revenue, just go do it yourself. Do your set several hours aside, learn. If you don't understand something, look it up on YouTube, and I just guarantee you that like it's not worth spending $1,000 or $2,000 for a CPA to do your taxes at that size of business. Does it make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. So then at what point do you think it's worth hiring someone?
I think when you start running, once you start having payroll, like so once you have multiple employees, once you're buying equipment pretty frequently, they're going to be able to give you a lot of advice in terms of how you should depreciate that. When you start having a lot of profit, so when you start making more like 30, 40,000 a year in profit, then it starts to make more sense to get a CPA involved, because they're going to really help you, figure out which tax brackets you can get into. They're going to be able to guide you in terms of when to buy equipment, how you should be depreciating it, whether you should buy it in December or January, all that fun stuff. And usually I see it start making sense once you pass the 6-figure in annual revenue and you have multiple employees. Next caller is coming in from 403. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I can't complain. I figured I'd just keep a quick question. I guess at what point do you think it's worthwhile getting into a shop? Like, is there a revenue point? Is there a size point of equipment, employees? Especially like for guys like we run out of a house with 2-car garage, big yard. It's hard to justify sometimes moving into a shop other than the professional appearance, I guess, per se.
Yeah, like how many employees do you have right now?
Through the busy season, so from like May to end of October, we typically run with about 4 employees. Through the winter time, we just run with 2. They're both on just salary. We keep everything down to concrete for all of our residential customers, so they're happy with that.
And are you during are you running when it comes to the shop space, what's your revenue like annually going to be projected for this year versus what you think that rented space is going to cost you for the shop?
Like we can run, we get about 250 per truck and trailer, so 2 guys running each truck and trailer. And like we're just running off of a corner lot kind of right now in a residential neighborhood. Neighbors are fine with it and everything like that. But I think moving into a shop, it wouldn't really build our revenue at all. I think it would typically just be for the presentation of the company. I don't know if it seems a little bit posh to say that, but I guess that's kind of where I'm at with it. But the only reason why I've never bought one or released one is I just didn't see it building the revenue in any sense. Just the overall curb appeal, or I guess, of the company. But I was wondering if there was a point in which you think that it's worthwhile, regardless of revenue or anything like that.
Yeah, usually once you start getting 4 employees, for example, it's actually going to come as a form of necessity, because what's going to happen is your HOA or like the city limits and like requirements are going to say, hey, you can't run a business out of this area. It's residential. So a lot of times you'll be kind of forced your hand to eventually move into a commercial space or shop space, etc. The second reason, in terms of like, is it going to improve revenue? You're 100% right. It won't. And it'll actually hurt the business from a cash flow perspective, because now you have this cost that you right now don't have to pay for. And so really though, what the biggest benefit of a shop space is when it comes to a team member, like an employee, it's just weird showing up your boss's house, especially like a residential neighborhood. You're parking down the street. Like, it's just weird. No, they're coming out. Their kids are coming out in their pajamas. They're finishing up breakfast and then coming out to their garage. It's just not a great environment for most team members. Don't want to be there. And I just don't see a lot of team members staying a long time and building their career with a business that's operating from the personal house. Now, if you had 5 acres and you had a shop space next to your house, and you had some separation, etc., totally awesome. Let's go. So at 250,000 in annual revenue, if per truck, so I'm gonna guess like 500,000-600,000 a year, you can start to afford to get the shop space. And then it's a matter of, if I have better employees, will I be able to charge my customers an extra $5 per hour? Right. So if I'm charging $70 per hour, would my customers be willing to pay an extra $75 per hour for great employees? If the answer to that is yes, then go get the shop space, because having the shop space will allow you to get the better employees. You'll retain them longer. You'll be able to train them better, etc. And so it's just simply a matter of, yes, it'll add to your cost 100%. That money is going to come out of what you would otherwise spend on like marketing, for example. However, having that shop space is going to be a great tool to retain talent. It's going to be somewhat decent, like you talked about, for a brand or for the image sake. But really, no one drives by a lot of these spaces that were kind of on the city limits or outside of the space. It's rare that you're like next to a highway. If in that case, then you can look at it as more of a marketing expense. But really, it's not going to improve the image of the business even as much as internally to your team, it'll improve the image of the business. And having nicer trucks and having better equipment and having nicer shop space, absolutely the team cares about that, not so much the customer. So as the business grows, you have to start just looking as overhead expense, part of doing business. And if you're going to go past 4 employees, you're probably going to need a shop space. So if you have like 5, 6, 7 employees, now you're going to start probably getting reported, and you're going to be forced to go get the shop space anyways. Next caller is coming in from 540. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. Check 1 2 540. Welcome to the show. You might be on mute. Uh-oh.
Hey, hello?
There we go. How's it going?
Hello. Hey,
I'm good. I just want to let you know that I am that gutter business that called in last month.
Cool.
And you told me to fix the website and put that thing on the first page right there where people can enter their information, and we did that immediately.
Awesome.
So that helped out a little bit.
Good for you.
Yep. So my question is, what do you recommend? Like, where would you recommend finding like some sort of business mentor, or do you offer that service yourself, or am I just gonna have to call in to your show every month and talk to you that way?
Yeah, like in terms of business mentorship, like, I didn't really have a mentor in terms of business locally or even like in my family or anything like that. I don't think this day and age you really need one. There's so
Right.
much that you can do vicariously because of the internet, whether it be myself or other, business owners and listening and podcasts and audiobooks, etc. And so it's not to say that you don't need a mentor. It's to say that the fact that now gaining mentorship is the easiest ever. Now, if you want direct access to
Yeah.
someone, it's simply a matter of money. Like, you're going to spend a bunch of money. Like, I do have coaching calls one-on-one. It's gobs of money, right? And I pay for someone that I also get coaching from, gobs of money. And so I don't think that's required though. Like, I only got a coach in the past 6 to 8 months. And so I think, my first 10 years, I didn't have a one-on-one with anyone, but I listened to books. I watched videos on YouTube. I would go down the rabbit hole of figuring out Facebook ads and how to do tracking and Google ads and how it actually works, and really, really figuring things out on yourself is actually going to do a lot for you, and you'll learn a lot too. And so I would really just focus on that.
Right.
Once you start building like a $10 million plus business, it starts to make a lot of sense to spend like $100,000 or $200,000 a year, which is only like 1% of revenue, on getting access to someone that could unlock like another 10 million. Right. But until that point, I think
Right.
for most business owners, especially up until like 2 or 3 million, it's like, what needs to be done based upon listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, watching videos, and then just observing. The biggest thing you can do is observe. Like, if I go to events, I'm not really interested in so much what's being said, is observing what people do. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I do all the things you just said for sure. I read, watch YouTube videos and all that. I basically just teach myself. But the thing is like, when you need a specific question answered about a specific situation, and it's hard to find that exact thing that you need answered, through a YouTube video or this or that.
Give me an example.
Was kind of where I was thinking, like for example, if I if I have like a specific question and I wanted to contact somebody and just ask them like. I mean, this is kind of a question I had for you. You could probably find this on the internet, but like how to prepare, for slow time after you get super busy in the spring rush.
Mm-hmm.
Just like little questions like that come to your mind that it might not be as easy as to find on YouTube or something like that, where you would want to talk to somebody that's experienced it before. I guess is where I was kind of going with that.
Yeah, like, I think to your point, like, a lot of this can be found on the internet, a little bit of searching, and it'll save you a lot of money than trying to find someone that knows that very, very specific answer. For example, if I thought what you were going to say is like, what type of gutter do I use in this scenario? In which case I'd be like, I don't know. You would have to find then someone in your industry. Right. And so that's usually when like courses or like finding someone that has a big business in your industry and paying for their course or have access to them somehow, that's super beneficial. The second thing I would say is, for example, the point about spring rush and booking into the slower season. Absolutely, there's content on that, right? Like, I made 3 videos about that are coming over the next couple of weeks on the channel, about specifically that. And that is like, during the spring rush, here's the type of job I'm going to focus on. All the other 9 months of the year, here's the service I'm going to be focused on. And then during those 9 months, I'm going to focus on upselling my existing customers instead of trying to go after new customers, because my customer acquisition cost is so much higher during that time of the year. So a lot of this can be learned. And this is the bigger thing when it comes to home services, because everyone watching this is mostly in home services. You can learn from different industries inside home services and apply 95% of what other people are doing to our industry. So if you're in gutters, I guarantee you 95% of what I talk about with lawn care will translate. I guarantee that 95% of us in lawn care will apply to window cleaning and HVAC. There's so much overlap. There's always little small things that are different about specific industries, but there's so much overlap. And the reason for that is because really all we all do is sell one thing, and that's labor. We sell hours. Our goal is to take $20 per hour labor and make that worth $100 to the customer. That's like our whole business. And so that's why I get, the upcoming conference that we're having in January 2025 is going to be for all home services. There's nowhere to like sign up yet. It's not fully announced, but we're going to have it. And the reason is because I just believe listening to someone else in a different home and service industry, most of it can be applied to your business. Next caller is coming in from 864. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Hello. I had two questions for you.
Go for it.
The first question, a little bit backstory. I'm a homeschooled 16-year-old, and I have 24 active customers that I have to take care of. And this summer and spring, I was wondering, I'm really torn between the decision of should I grow, grab an employee, and let him work while I'm doing school, or should I just lay back and deal with what I have?
Got it. And what's your goal for the business, bud? Are you trying to grow it once you get out of school? Or are you just trying to make money on the side while you're in school? What's sort of the long-term vision that you have currently?
Well, I plan on growing it as big as I can after school.
Okay. And then do you have anyone that you already know would be able to be your employee while you're working in school?
No, I don't.
Got it. And then right now, what's your hourly rate that you're charging customers approximately? Do you kind of know what that number is?
About $80. About
$80
$80 an hour.
Okay, cool. So right now, your monthly revenue, what does that look like?
Shoot, I don't even know.
You're good.
I know that we did about 34,000 last year.
Good for you. Good for you.
I do know that.
All right. So then it really just becomes a question of, can you find someone that's willing to work part-time, right? Because I would imagine unless this year you 5 or 6x, like you literally get to 100, 150 customers, unless you do that, you're probably looking for someone part-time. And so the question is, can you find someone that can work part-time while you're in school? And if you're going to do that, you're going to have to pay them pretty good because first off, they're not going to be able to be school age. They're going to have to be older than you. And secondly, you're not going to be able to be reactive when they have problems throughout the day. They're going to have to figure things out on their own. So they're going to need some level of experience or just like life experience because they're going to basically have to do things. When things go wrong, they're going to have to figure it out. And so I would just say, have a certain benchmark. Like how many customers do you think you can serve without having to hire someone and you manage them? So if you do a few each evening and then on the weekends, like, do you think you can get to maybe like 30, 35 customers and then you're kind of tapped out?
I mean, I think I could do 40 actually, because it's me and my brother that are doing this, but I plan on going to business. So
got it. So in this case, this would be my recommendation. You got 2 more years of school. I would recommend personally, and this is not the right advice for everyone, but like I'd just get to 40 customers and raise your prices to make sure that if you get starting 42, 43, raise your prices on everybody. Like you will make more profit, I believe, in the next couple of years if you just did that, because you're not going to get insurance, worry about payroll, all these other headaches that's going to come along with getting one employee and reducing you're going to reduce your net profit margins massively. Whereas right now, like it's you and your brother, you're making a bunch of money, get to 40 customers. When it starts getting above that, just raise your prices more and more and more until you're charging like $100 an hour. You're going to come out of school, you're going to be making good money and then go higher. Right. And get like focus right now on school, making good profits on the jobs that you do have, and then just live life as a 16-year-old. When you come out at 18, 19, you graduate. Now you literally have a business that's super profitable. You have 40, 50, like you have solid route to build on top of. I'd just do that because I think you'll make just as much money, if not more money, if you just focus on making those current 40 lawns really, really profitable versus trying to get to 80 or 90 or 100, but you got all this extra overhead caused by having a new employee. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, man. Best of luck to you.
And the second.
Oh, snap. I just dropped you. I am so sorry. Call back in and I'll get you back on. Until then, next caller, 774. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Hi, how you doing, Mike?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. I was watching your videos I start watching and I start following you. And I'm owning a company, a small company for 2019.
Okay.
And the revenue I make that day 150,000.
Okay.
And then, continuing like 140. And last year I get like 80,000.
Okay.
But my question is this one: how I can get more customers?
Mhm.
Because I use company like Angie, like you do like an internet, you pay like a $2,000.
Mhm.
But those companies they don't, they send a lot of phone numbers to someone. They don't,
Yeah.
like you can get like maybe 3 or 4 customers. What do you recommend to me to get like uh like I don't want to spend too much money
Yep.
to do like a marketing
Yep.
to
Okay.
get more customers.
So just to clarify, 2019 you did 150,000 annual revenue. Last year, 2023, you did 80,000 in revenue. So about half. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, do you have a website and like a Google listing for online?
Yes, I have a website.
Okay. And what's that website's name?
It is Marlboro Landscape Design Inc.
Marble Landscaping. And what's your city?
That's in Marlboro, Massachusetts.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, it's called Marlboro Landscape
.com? Like what's the
Design.
actual URL?
I will use MarlboroLandscape.com.
Okay, there we go. All right, so here's
Yeah, it's from
Marlboro
Marlboro, Massachusetts.
Landscaping.com. Okay, pulling it up. I'm spelling Marlboro wrong. All right, 1 second here.
Yeah, it's a landscape. Yeah, I use landscape for Marlboro. Yes.
Marlboro Landscaping. Let's see if I can get this right. Nope, spelled it wrong again. 1 second. MARLBORO landscaping.com.
Yeah, MarlboroLandscape.com.
Oh, landscape. Okay.
Yeah, landscape. Yeah, landscape.
Okay, cool. All right, I got you. All right, now I'm looking at your website.
Okay.
Cool. All right, pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty good. All right. And then on your Google listing, what is your how many Google reviews do you have right now?
Reviews?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't check in right now. I don't know. I have someone like over there, like maybe couple ones, maybe 5 or 4.
Okay. Yeah. So like right now, when I look at, I'm going to share this. When I look at your area of Marlboro, Massachusetts, I am getting other companies like Kadish Landscaping, the Vernon Company, Vega Landscaping. They have 27 reviews, 13 reviews, which tells me if you get like 30 or so Google reviews, you will probably be in the first page of Google. And furthermore, that's just in the Google listing part and like on the map. So like I would really focus on making sure you have an address on your Google listing, making sure you have at least 30 Google reviews. That'd be the first thing. Then it's just a matter like you're not ranking on the first page of Google for the website. So there's over the course of time, Landscape Marlboro, like their second page. Sorry, I'm just trying to find. Okay, cool. I don't see you here. So I just really, really encourage you to focus on the Google listing. Like get as many reviews as possible. Because what I believe has happened over the past few years, and the reason you've declined in revenue is all of your customers have gone online. Like all the leads that you used to get because of referrals, people seeing your truck, you do a great job. People talk to their neighbors less now than ever before. And I don't think that trend's going to continue, like, switch around. I think people are going to talk to each other less. And so they will go more online. They'll go more digital. And so you need to be there, right? And so your website looks decent enough, right? Like I could, pick apart like, hey, I'd rather see your crew and your truck on the front cover instead of just a random lawn. I could pick into those things. But more importantly, you're not even being seen right now. The website isn't even being seen because you don't have the Google reviews and you're not ranking on Google. And so like I would like if just to give you like, I know it sounds really basic, but get 30 Google reviews quickly. Family, friends, past customers, send them all a text message and be like, I'd really appreciate if you'd give me a Google review. Here's the link. That would be the number one thing I could say. And that really matches up to the fact that you've had a decline in leads over the past 3 years because everyone's moved online the past few years. And in the past, they might have only gone to their neighbor and asked them who mowed their grass. Now they go online and that's where they get their referrals from. Next call is coming in from 438. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks. I was just calling in regarding my landscaping and lawn care company.
Mm-hmm.
We are located in Montreal, so we have kind of, compared to other cities, I think we have a pretty lower price we can charge compared to other guys. I was wondering, do you think it's worth pursuing, well, we're already heavily involved in lawn care. Do you think it's worth pursuing that even further? Or do you think it's wiser to maybe use that as kind of like a stepping stone to other projects that are maybe higher revenue, higher profit?
Okay. So right now, are you kind of maxed out? Like, do you have a ton of excess labor? Like, could you grow by 30% without buying more trucks and equipment?
Yeah, no, we'd have to buy more equipment for sure.
Got it. And so really, like right now, you're saying what we're currently believing is the fact that we can't raise prices just because the market, like we would lose too many customers.
Yes, absolutely. It's the prices are pretty low here and they're fairly competitive. So raising prices won't do too much.
When was the last time we did raise prices?
I raise them every year.
Okay. And what percentage do you raise them each year usually?
So we've done a couple purchases of client lists. So each client set, I guess, kind of increases at a different percentage.
Okay.
But generally, we try and keep up with inflation or a little bit above.
Okay. All right. And then, sorry.
But I find we are getting priced out. Obviously, there's some that are fine with our price increase.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm finding it that I speak to my competitors, it's kind of a friendly market. And I do find that there is a threshold that people just aren't willing to pay more than.
Mm-hmm. And
so I think we're kind of starting to get priced out.
What's your close ratio?
Um, 40%, 50%.
Okay. Yeah, like, so in my opinion, the close ratio is the determining factor as to whether or not, your prices are too high. And so if you're hitting up against capacity, i.e. you, in order to double or grow the business, you'd have to buy more trucks and equipment. I would keep raising prices until like if you're at capacity, you need to make more room in order to be able to grow. Like, I don't want you to go buy more trucks and equipment and just expand capacity. I'd rather you push down on demand by raising the price. And so, yes,
well,
we could go ahead.
I guess my question was more like, should I maybe shift into, yes, obviously our lawn mowing, I think it accounts for about 65% of our revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, do you think I should shift more to maybe adjacent services where there is maybe a higher profit margin, or I can increase my prices a little more without having to, do the economy to scale thing with the grass where, it takes so much effort for not incredibly high returns?
Yeah. Like, honestly, like I hear this from everyone. That the reason I push back so hard on this, because I hear people in every industry say the exact same thing. And that is like, I'm price competitive.
Okay.
I can't raise my prices anymore. I should go offer a different service. And we always think the next service is going to fix the problem. Now, do I believe having more services and selling more to the same customer is a good idea? Yes. Because if I can have one customer and sell them 3 different things instead of one, I can triple their value per year, which means I can also spend more money on marketing and it makes more sense. And so I'm a big fan of having multiple services, but the idea that you're going to switch services and it's going to fix the business, is like the most common problem that people have in all industries. Like there are people that in the services that you currently are thinking of switching into that think that they should switch to different services because there's pros and cons of every single service. So for the guy that is like does chemical applications, yes, they might have a higher quote unquote margin. However, they might own, like I was talking to a really successful chemical company the other day, but they might get $300 per customer per year on average, sometimes less. And that's really difficult because if I have to spend 150 to acquire a customer, or in your case, if you purchased a client list, it's really difficult to make sense of $300 per year. You got to keep them for like 5 years to make $1,500. Whereas with like lawn mowing,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
lower margin, 100%. However, I'm able to get like $2,000 per customer by just having like a spring cleanup, a fall cleanup, and some mowing. And so,
yeah, and that's what we really focus on. You know, like we don't do any applications. We really try and stick to the bread and butter and the recurring services for sure. But it was just, you know, I guess it's more of a thought, or and I think you kind of answered it, but just maybe expanding it to fertilizer or aeration.
Yeah, like I'm
more add-ons. Yeah,
totally. I think the answer is in the add-ons, right? Like because every dollar you make from an existing customer is more profitable than going and getting a new dollar from a new customer. And so if I was you, instead of like, oh, we're going to go into chemical applications and we're going to like really expand that side of the business, what I would do is say, okay, we're going to offer these couple chemical applications and I'm going to upsell them via one-click estimate email or send text message to my existing customers during the slow season. And I'm going to try to fill my schedule with work that otherwise I wouldn't be getting during the spring rush. And I'm going to upsell my existing customers into this other service. But the idea that we're going to switch services is something that like, I just really see people jumping into a different service because like, oh, it's more profitable. They need to jump into it like, oh my word, I need 5 times as many customers just to make the same amount of revenue. Now all of a sudden my overhead structure doesn't work. I've got to I don't have enough work for all these trucks and employees and all the rest of it. So I'm a bigger fan of trying to upsell your existing customers and having adjacent services that you can upsell them to. Big fan. And I always see people thinking that switching services and changing area is somehow going to fix their business when the vast majority of us just need to hit capacity and raise prices. Like it is boggling to me just how often that is the answer. And it's like, well, I want to grow and grow. It's like, well, if you're going to grow, you're increasing supply. You're increasing the supply. And when you increase supply, your price either goes down or you absorb more demand. Like if you look at a price, supply and demand curve, when there's lots of demand and it exceeds supply, i.e. you have way more customers than you can serve, you can increase supply, i.e. buy more trucks and hire more people, or keep the same supply but raise prices, therefore bringing demand back down. But you'll still stay busy. That's why I'm such a big fan of like determine how many customers you can serve, determine how many budget hours you can complete each week. And once you hit that, then raise prices if you want to be more profitable. But until you do that, you can't really judge your industry or your service mix. Like that is when you can really determine whether or not it's profitable is once you hit capacity and raise prices. And in my opinion, until you have taken a year and said, we're not buying trucks, we're not buying equipment, we're not hiring any more people, we're simply going to hit the capacity, number of budget hours, number of trucks, number of employees that we have. We're going to hit that and then we're going to raise prices. And if we hit it again, we're going to raise prices again. And once you've done that for a solid year, then you can really distinguish whether or not that service is profitable. I just see this a lot of the time. So that'd be my word of caution. Next caller is coming in from 618. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I'm Jeffrey with Untamed Edges. I'm in Copilot. You've probably seen me a few times. You kind of answered my question with the last guy. I'm just looking for someone to talk me into raising prices because I'm deathly afraid of it.
Okay, I can convince you very quickly. Here we go. So right now, how many trucks do you have?
We have 2.
Okay, we got 2 trucks. How many employees we got?
3.
Okay, we got 3 employees.
Well, four including myself.
Let's go ahead and go with 4. Great. And so I'm going to assume that you have 2 guys in each of the trucks. That's kind of what you're rolling with right now.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. And do you use budget hours in your business?
So we're switching to P for P this year, and that's kind of like where I'm confused because a lot of our loans are underpriced, so it's like
got it.
You know,
Okay.
I think probably 30 to 40% of our lawns are probably underpriced. So it's hard to, convince like your guys that they're going to be making,
Yeah,
extra money whenever
100%.
it's hard to even make the P for P on that job.
Yep. If your pricing's way off, P for P doesn't do a lot because the guys won't make enough money, right? And if they're not making enough money on P for
Right.
P, there's a good chance you're not making enough money either, right? And so let's
Right.
go ahead and break this down. So we got 2 trucks, 4 employees. We don't have budget hours right now. Because if we had budget hours, I'd be saying we have a capacity of about 140 budget hours per week, and we can work with that. We don't have that luxury. So let's work with this instead. How many mowing customers do you currently serve each week?
We have about 130, 140 a week.
Okay. And right now, without having to get more trucks, more equipment, or employees, and assume you guys work like 40 hours, like a regular week, how many customers do you think you can get to without having to either work overtime or have to get more trucks and equipment?
How many customers can we get to like currently?
Yeah. Do you think like if you got 160 customers, do you think you'd still be able to get it done in a 40-hour week? No.
No, we go into overtime. Like with what we have now, it's just too much.
Got it. Okay. So let's just assume 140 is basically your limit. Because like right now you're saying you're already pushing that envelope.
Yes.
Got it. So then this is really easy. All right. Great. Fantastic. So what you're going to do, because you don't do budget hours and you haven't been tracking likely your track time on the job for like all of last year. So we don't have data.
No, we haven't.
Right. So fine. That's great. We're still going to raise prices. Here's what you're going to do. First off, you're going to talk to you and your crew and you're going to sit down and go through all your customer base. You could probably do this yourself because you're on the properties a lot. And that is like, which of these customers, like what the 1/3 of them that you said like they're way underpriced, which ones are those? And just raise them by like a solid 30 to 40%. So if they're, and that sounds like a lot, but if you're charging them $40 a cut, that's like $12, $13, right? So it's not a ton. And but that 20 to 30% is going directly into your pocket. And guess what? If you lose them, you don't care because you're going into spring rush and you're going to be going way over. You're already at your limit. Like in order to get more customers, you have to lose some customers. And so we're going to do 2 things. Number 1, all new customers are going to be charged a higher price. So what's your minimum for mowing right now?
$49.
Great. So let's go ahead and move that to $60. Okay. And I'm assuming you're in more of a rural area, larger property sizes.
No, we actually aren't. We have a lot of 1/4-acre lots. It's a pretty populated, wealthier area, actually.
Okay. Well, 1/4-acre lots in my area is kind of big. So, all right, you're not like postage stamp long,
yeah.
but it's larger. Okay, got it. So let's just say, okay, our minimum 50 is not too bad. But what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 things. Number 1, we're going to raise all the prices on every job is just way underbid, right? Like way underbid. You could probably list off 20 of them to me right now, just the customers' names. We have to raise prices. What I also want to do though is on all 140 of these, raise prices by a flat dollar amount. And the reason I say flat dollar amount is because we don't have the data right now to compare budget hours versus actual hours, right? Next year, after going through Copilot and you have all the budget hours in there, which I would, that's a different conversation to get budget hours figured out. But like once you've done that, then you would run a report, like which ones have budget hours of X and Y versus how long it actually took. And all the ones that were taking way too long, I'm going to raise prices on them. But for now, I just want to do a flat price increase. I'm not looking at which jobs need to be raised prices on. I am simply looking at the fact that I can only take 140 customers and I have hit that limit. And I will have to say no to new customers, or I will raise prices until I go down from 140 to 120. And losing 20 customers to you is going to seem like a big deal. I can promise you in the next 4 to 8 weeks, you'll get all of those 20 new customers back because you're going into spring rush and you're going to charge a higher price to them.
Okay.
So new customers are getting a higher price, but you're going to have to raise prices on existing customers in order to be able to make room for new customers, which you're inevitably going to get because you're going into spring rush. And so if on 140 customers, like I want you to raise prices by at least $10 a cut, at least.
Okay, so instead of a percentage, you're saying do a dollar amount.
Well, here's the thing. The reason I'm saying a dollar amount is because I want you to do it. I just see consistently simplicity in this case is going to be the best. So what I would probably do if I was you is anything under $60 per cut is going to get a $10 price increase. So if they're getting charged $50 a cut right now, they're going to 60. Anything above $60 per cut currently, give them a $15 price increase. So if they're currently getting charged $70 a cut, now they're going to be at $85. And then what you're going to do, have you started mowing yet or not?
We will in a week.
Great. So tomorrow you're going to do all of this and you're going to send them all an email. Say, next week we start our mowing season. Here's your pricing for the upcoming 2024 mowing season. If you have any questions, let us know. We look forward to seeing you and serving you at your property this upcoming year. That's it. No explanation long about the economy and inflation, all this garbage. All right. You're just going to get the prices. I guarantee you, if you do this, you'll probably lose 10 to 15 customers. Probably less, to be honest with you. But we actually need to, because you can't take any more customers. But here's what's really cool. If we average, like if you're over $100 per cut, I want you to be charging $20 more. So if we can average an extra like $12 a cut and we mow someone's lawn like 3 or 4 times a week, that means we're making an extra like $40 per customer. $40 times 140, we're making an extra $5,500 in straight profit by doing this price increase. I also have a sense to believe that if you raise these prices, you'll then be able to do pay for performance, because now your prices will be at a high enough margin to where you can pay your guys on P for P and they're incentivized because there's enough meat on the bone. I'm going to go through these next callers as quickly as I can. Next caller is coming from 469. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, Mike. I had a couple questions. So my first question is, when setting up my pricing for mowing services, I wanted to know if I should be basing that pricing off of like a 2-man crew or like a 1-man crew.
We always personally do it based upon 1-man crew, just because we use that the most, right? I just simply use whatever you use the most. And then also from like a budget hour perspective, we calculate budgeted hours based upon how long it'll take one person. There's going to be a little bit more waste in there if I have 2 or 3 or 4. But we always do it based upon 1.
Okay, yeah, because usually like from spring to summer we do 2-man crews, and then whenever it kind of slows down, it usually goes down to like a 1-man crew.
Got it.
During that kind of slow.
So I would whichever on average you use the most, that's probably the one I would use as kind of the benchmark in terms of, you know, how long things take.
Okay, cool. And then we do winter services as well. So we offer actually 2 prices. So we offer a weekly and a bi-weekly price. They're different. So when switching to winter services, obviously in the winter, should I drop my pricing for like those bi-weeklies down to the weekly pricing? Whenever the winter services actually start?
Our goal is to keep the same prices as their mowing services, right? So we just keep it simple, right? Like the challenging part with doing this is there are going to be properties that have a massive lawn and hardly any landscaping. They're the ones that usually are the ones that are kind of paying a premium because their lawn takes a long time to mow, but maintaining everything else during the winter doesn't take long. We rarely are able to keep those ones during winter services, but just so much easier to tell customers your price is going to be the exact same on the exact same schedules we've always done for mowing. Like that's just an easy way to sell it, so you don't have to have another barrier. And then in your estimates for mowing, you can just say there's a year-round service, and during the winter, we do other winter services, right? So I would just recommend sticking to the same pricing, the same schedule. And the big debate is, well, if they're on weekly mowing and I'm switching them to bi-weekly winter services, do I charge the same price as their weekly mowing? I would say yes, simply so that their invoice stays the same and that per visit price doesn't change. Next caller's coming in from Australia from a 61 number. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, how you going?
What's up? What can I do for you?
Okay. I'm looking to start P4P at my roofing company.
Okay.
In Australia, and I was wondering, you've obviously got Augusta one over here, and how did you go about setting up, and who did you speak to?
Yes.
Like the Australian laws and stuff, because obviously it'd be different to the US.
Yeah, so the big difference with Australia when it comes to pay for performance is you guys have a very, very high base pay that is required by the government. And so, but you also have a very high per hour labor rate that you can charge. Like you over there charge like $100 to $200 per man hour, but you also, your base pay is sometimes $25, $30 per hour. And so as long as, in my opinion, as long as you're charging the customer at least 4 times more than what you're charging on, you're paying your employees on base pay, P4P will work. And really for something like roofing, it just comes down to the matter of can you do a job in budget hours, or at least break the job down into labor revenue? Because ultimately they get a percentage of the labor revenue. And so what of that seems complicated, or do you have a question on that specifically?
No, so I was going to do metric rates on like on the vapor. I've got the vapor price for the meter per meter to give to the boys for the PXP. So I was running like the law side of it and tax. Is it different to the American? Because also we're in Australia. And who did you speak to find out then kind of questions?
Yeah, so I give the answer the same as I would in the US, and that is essentially talk to your labor department. And so we have not seen this be an issue in the Australian market or the European markets that are using it in terms of legally. But because I'm not in your country every single day, I just say, go talk to your labor department and say, hey, here's my compensation plan. I am guaranteeing they pay this much per hour. And if they work really hard and they do a really good job, I'm going to give them bonuses. And is that legal? Right? That's basically what you're doing. Just make sure you don't pitch it to employees, like applicants, as like, you're making all this money. Like, you got to say, this is your base pay. This is what I'm guaranteeing you. And based upon performance, you can make more money as bonuses on top of that. That's how you want to pitch it. And so talk to your local labor department. But in Australia, you charge a lot more per hour. You also have to pay more per hour. And the bottom line, if you're using like per meter pricing for roofing, you're simply going to say, okay, if I'm charging, let's just call it $200 per square meter, great. I'm giving 1/3 of that now to my team members, which means I'm going to be giving $66 in P4P wages to my team for every every square meter. Now, all of a sudden, 10 meters, $660 in wages is going to be dispersed. And again, you can use the software, p4psoftware.com. Go there and go to the training tab, and it'll literally show you how to do this without the software. The software just saves you a little bit of time to make sure that the projects are calculated correctly on a daily basis, etc. All right, couple more callers. Next one's coming in from 435. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, this is Dallin Davis from Cedar City, Utah.
How's it going?
Going good, man. Hey, so I'm an employee here at Augusta, and I have a couple questions regarding the P4P.
Cool, go for it.
And when I go looking at it from my perspective, my base pay is always averaging higher than my pay for performance. And to me, that shouldn't make sense. From what I got told in my onboarding packet is that I should be making more money on my P4P, but instead I'm having 8-hour days where my base pay is $155.81 or whatever for the day, and my pay for performance is only $67.82.
Got it.
Like, and that's a regular thing, but I've been busting out my jobs in the allotted times and the broken down decimal hours. So I'm just wondering, like, is there something that I'm doing wrong?
First off, let me commend you for the way you phrased that question. Like, you're first looking inward and trying to understand before you go out and judge the system. So kudos to you for calling in and like actually trying to understand this. And I'm going to answer you. And I would also say, go talk to your owner, because they will break this down even better for you, because they'll actually take your paycheck from, say, yesterday and show you on the dispatch board what jobs were completed and how this all breaks down. But let me try to answer. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So the guy that franchised out of Augusta owns one up in Cedar and one down in St. George.
Yeah, Brent.
And I'm working out of the one in St. George. And yeah, Brett. Yeah, but he's the manager down here who he has training isn't trained on the P4P all the way.
Yeah, because he just got started.
I don't want to blame him, because he's a really good guy. Brett and Tim are both amazing people, and I don't want to, they're my management. So I just want to make sure it's not me doing something wrong and they're doing it right on their end, and I just need to be more performance and more, efficient.
Yeah. Well, again, like, fantastic mentality, right? So my first thing is the locate, because I know Brent started 2 locations. Is the one you're starting, is it the brand new one? Like, is it brand new?
Yes.
Got it.
The one in St. George, correct.
So the one in St. George, how many, do you know approximately how many mowing customers they have right now?
I want to say we got I've handed out at least 1,000 door hangers, and we've gotten, I know I've went to personally 10 houses that I know that I've put door hangers on and done. So we have probably about 80 mow accounts now.
Okay. So So this is the challenge with the new locations. And what was your name again? Sorry.
Dallin.
Salin?
Yes, Dallin Davis.
Okay, got it. So when we have a new location, it is usually the first year until we get over 100 accounts. It's tough to make P for P, like above base pay, mostly due to the fact that there's just not great route density, which means you're driving a lot. It also means you're like what you just said, you're doing door hangers. Well, when you're doing door hangers, there's not revenue being produced. So it's hard to make P for P if no revenue is being produced, right? And so if I was in your shoes, I'd be like, okay, we need to get more jobs in a specific area so that when I stop my truck, I knock out 3 or 4 lawns instead of just 1. Because that's when you can make a lot of money on P for P because there's no drive time. And so what's killing you right now on P for P is that you're driving, let's just call it 10 miles in a route to get done all of your jobs for the day. Down the road, and I would venture to believe at their first location in Cedar Rapids or Cedar City, I bet that they probably travel 2 miles or 3 miles for that same crew to do all their jobs for the day, which means you're driving probably 20% of your day is just loading up your truck and driving around. So even if you kick butt on budget hours, like on the job, you're like, hey, it says 0.75 budget hours and I did it in 0.6. Great. But if that takes you another 20 minutes to get to the next job and then 10 minutes to get to the next job after that, it doesn't matter about budget hours in the job because you're still only able to complete, let's just call it 5 or 6 budget hours in the day out of an 8 or 9 hour day that you've clocked in. So this is the number I want you to calculate for yourself. This is the number I want you to calculate, all right?
Okay.
Take all the budget hours you complete in a day on a route and add them up. Okay. So you're going to say like, okay, 0.75, 0.5, 0.6 budget hours for all these mode
Would
jobs.
my Copilot app do that for me though too?
Your P for P app will. Are you in P for P in the app yet?
Okay. Yeah, I'm in P for P and Copilot.
Cool. So Brent probably hasn't connected the two yet, but probably in a week or two, he probably will because we're adding a little more functionality. And when he does that, you're actually going to see before the day starts, you're going to see how much revenue you're going to produce. And as you complete the jobs in Copilot, you will see them getting completed in P for P and see like a thermometer of how much revenue you're making. So when that happens, it'll make a lot more sense.
That is a cool feature.
But here,
that is way cool.
I want to give you what you can do now. And what you're going to do is add up those budget hours for the day. So you got 0.75, you got 0.5, you got 0.6, all those, right? Let's say that it adds up to 6 budgeted hours. Okay. Then what I want you to do is divide that number by how many hours you clocked for the day. Right? Let's say you complete 6 budget hours for the day, but you had 10 clocked hours. Like you work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So now we got 6 budgeted hours and we have 10 clocked hours. Do you follow so far?
Yes, I'm following. I'm writing this down too.
Cool. So what I want you to do is do budget hours or BH divided by clocked hours. And so in this case, it'd be 6 divided by 10. And if you do 6 divided by 10, it comes up to 0.6 or 60%.
Yeah.
That's what we call the efficiency score. And that's what you're seeing on your report on a daily basis. You'll get that percentage like efficiency score.
Yeah.
That's how that number is being calculated. Now, this is what I will tell you.
Okay.
If you're able to consistently be above 70 to 80% efficiency score, you will make a bonus on P for P.
Okay.
And the reason now it's tough to hit above that number is because you have a lot of drive time due to the fact that your jobs are very spread out. So because they're allowing you to do door hangers, what I would recommend is do your very best to get a lot of jobs in one spot. Because when you come around and do those lawns, you won't have to do much drive time and you can have like a 90% efficiency score because you can actually knock all the jobs out without all the extra space in between.
Okay. So lawn density area is what I'm looking for.
You got it. And Brent knows that. And that's why we try to focus on smaller areas for marketing, probably compared to his first location, because his first one with Augusta. And so he's trying to do that. And he knows it's tough for you to make above base pay. So this is what I would do. If I was you, if you did what you just did and called in and tried to understand P for P, use that, go to the owner, go to Brent and be like, hey, I learned this. Can I do the door hangers in this specific neighborhood? Can I, if I was you, every single time you do a a lawn, I'd be doing the 2 or 3 neighbors around that property with a door hanger and ask Brent if you can do an instant quote.
That.
Yeah, like ask me, does he allow you to do instant quotes or not yet?
Yes, I have the door hangers that have the instant quote on them, and he has given me the Google Earth lookouts of the yards to judge prices.
Yep, fantastic. So I would just say your goal should be route density, so you don't have to do drive time, because that's what's probably killing you. And you want as many jobs as possible in a given area. And then what you want to do is go ask your manager, whether it be the GM or Brent, and say, hey, look, how can I be more efficient? And what they're probably going to point to, I'm just going to guess, is yes, the drive time, but also in the morning. For example, from the time you clock in to the time you are actually, the blades are turning on the job, for some people, that's an hour and a half or more, which means they clock in at 7 o'clock and it's 8:30 by the time they actually are making money. And on P4P, until the blades are turning, you're not making money. And so what I would recommend is start timing yourself from the moment you clock in, like at the job, at the office, to the time you're on the job, like actually making money. Because on P4P, you're making money if the business is making money, which means we want to get to that first job as fast as possible. And so track that and track budget hours divided by clocked hours. And I think if you just can track it for a week or two, you'll start to see, oh, that lined up, that report yesterday, I did make above base pay. I did make a bonus. And you'll start to get better and better at knowing exactly what that number is. Does that all make a little bit of sense?
Okay. Yes, absolutely, man. Thank you so much, dude. I'm honestly about to go in and brag to everybody I know that I got to speak on the phone to you.
No, kudos to you for your mentality, and I appreciate you being a part of Augusta Nation, brother. Take care.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
You got
Take
it. All right, bye. Very cool. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you all for being here. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll look forward to another one of these, hopefully in the next several weeks. But I appreciate everyone calling in, being so awesome. That was a great call at the end. I love talking to the frontline team members at Augusta. Let's go. Brent out in Cedar City is fantastic. He just joined Augusta. He has 2 locations, and really appreciate him. And obviously, it reflects in the team members and their ability to learn. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend.